afternoon garage. Well, you can see, boy, it's nighttime around here, so it's far past afternoon, but yeah, I'm going to put this piece of glass in. So this is the rear window that I'm going to probably use for the coupe I have. All right, here's my rear glass for my coupe here, and it's quite complicated because it has actually a two-stage defrost system, and I think this was kind of an afterthought that they put in here. It's really kind of weird how they've actually ground a recess for this connector here, and then jammed the connector inside of the seal. It's really crazy that this works and it doesn't cause problems. I do have another piece of glass that doesn't have any of this on it, and it's just a solid piece of glass, and I can put that in if I break this one, but hopefully that won't happen. And as I said before, I want to put this one in because, well, it's factory and I have all the electrics in there to make this happen, and, well, return it to factory. So as you can see, it's got connections on it. These are both grounds. Of course, brown is always ground with the German cars. And then there's a jumper here. So this whole trace acts as a ground for these lines here. This is the first stage. Here you can see there's kind of a break in there, and when these come on, it's the second stage. Okay, here's the connection points for the defrost on here. Look how they've recessed the glass here. I think this is tempered glass, and boy, that had to be done during the manufacturing process, but this thing's going to be real fragile and take up kind of a lot of space. Make sure you use the right connectors. They're kind of a smaller gauge spade, not your typical spade here. But boy, you're going to have to fit all this inside of that gasket. So we have to cram all of this in that seal. All right, here's the seal. This seal is really interesting. It's got lots of different components of it. We'll kind of look at those. This is the top where it would be mounted, where it would face out, where you'd see it on the car. This is where your trim would go. So I have some chrome trim that pops into here after it's stretched around the glass. This actually seats up against the car. This pocket here is for the pinch weld. You know, this is the one where you put the rope around it and you kind of pull it through and it grabs onto the pinch weld. So that's how it's mounted to the vehicle. Then on the other side of it, you have this pocket here. This is where your glass would go. So, and then this one here would be where your wiring would go. So your wiring would be tucked right in there like that. So what you need is you need to punch some holes in this to get the wire from the pickup points here, or the spade connectors, over to this side, so you can run your wiring to a common point. Now, you're not going to be able to do this as an afterthought. You're going to have to do this kind of all at once. All this has to be installed in this gasket before anything goes on. It's going to make it really difficult. I'm going to need two people to do that, of course, but this just adds another level of complexity to get this wiring in here. And like I said before, you're not going to be able to do it afterwards, so you got to do it at the start, and boy, this is going to be a challenge. Let's punch holes in that. Alright, that took me about, I don't know, 45 minutes or an hour to do, just to get all the wires in there and everything like that. Definitely doesn't make it any easier to have to tuck those wires in there, so I think what I'll do is I'll move on to this side. You can see I got some connections to make over here. So now if you order new trim, this is kind of how it comes. They fold it up inside the box, so make sure you get the left and the right, and you're going to have to do kind of a little bit of reshaping because, well, it's terrible. Look what happened in the rear here. So with this now, I was sold 2 pieces for the right hand side, and you can see that, you know, this is not, I've been actually working on this corner here to try to kind of shift it because it's longer on the top than it is at the bottom. So I'm able to take and bend this stuff and be really careful with it. But you can see even over there where that big gap is, you know, this stuff needs a little working with before you go and commit to putting it on the rubber seal. You're gonna have to get it pretty darn close to what this frame is here, you know, before you go and attempt to actually snap it in there and use it. So boy, this is a lot more work than I thought. Look how far off that is. It's about 3/4 of an inch off.
I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen.
Man, I tell you what, I'm having a heck of a time with this trim. So basically what I did is I just kind of set the back window in. The corners seem to want to tuck under, which is kind of a bad thing. But I was not able to get this trim in whatsoever around any of the corners. So when I stuck it in here and kind of held it up, I was able to see not the shape was okay, but the orientation of where these things actually sit flat, and that's where you're going to get the gaps and stuff like that. So basically I just kind of massaged these with a towel and a vise and was able to bend these to get these to sit what I think is relatively flat now. So I think what I'll do is I'll pop the back window out and see if I can cram these things in there. Boy, this is not the easiest thing I've ever done. In fact, I'm gonna need some luck here to complete this, but yeah, everything looks like it lines up now. I've probably spent, oh, I don't know, maybe 4 hours in shaping these things. There's a video online which suggests that there was probably a jig for these things that the Porsche factory put them in to make sure that they were bent correctly before they were ever installed in the gaskets. But well, go to the back window and see if I can get those things in. I have a feeling I'm going to be pulling this window in and out.
One week later.
Alright, working on the back window again. Still have these rolled edges, so well, I placed an order and there we go. This one says Porsche on it right here. This is an OE part. Yeah, see, so you can see that the corners here are curled upwards. If you can see that. But they're curled upwards, which would probably help that problem there.
3 days later.
Alright, I worked on this back window for, well, after I got the Porsche gasket, I had to rebend them all again, and it looks pretty good now. This took probably 3 days, 4 days. The Porsche gasket is much better. It's harder rubber, and the other one's kind of floppy and, you know, wouldn't retain its shape. This one holds really good on the corners and everything, and doesn't look too bad. I don't know. Too much work. I never want to do this ever again. This is one of the most difficult jobs I've done on pretty much any vehicle. I mean, I've been actually working on it for the windows for, I don't know, probably 3 weeks now. This isn't fun. Right now, one of the last things to do here, as you can see, I got some marks here, and well, there's supposed to be some clips there. They're little tiny clips that, you know, are kind of quite closed up, and you know, they really don't fit on here very well. So I had to find something to spread them open. You can use a little screwdriver to kind of prop them open, but then it's really hard to kind of get them open and get them on at the same time. So what I found is just take a small Phillips screwdriver. You might find a better way to do this, but when you push it in there, just make sure it kind of opens it up a little bit. You can see how that opened up. And then what we'll do is we'll put it approximately where it goes, just about right here, and we'll kind of start it and get it on there. And there you go. So I was also worried about this might tear the fabric or something like that, because it does have teeth on it. I was also afraid that when you pulled the string around here that it may get hung up on your rope that you use to install the window, but I don't think so. I think it's just pretty flush, especially if you kind of bang that on. You can see that I've got planned four on the back, and then we'll switch to the front and do those. Well, now, this actually worked out pretty good, didn't it? So, I was pretty stressed there that, things weren't going in right. That gasket was just terrible. It kind of sucked down on the edges, and I think it was made by a company called OEM or something like that. I don't think it was Euro parts or anything like that, but man, it was just terrible. So get the original Porsche gasket, and of course get a right and a left piece of trim so you don't have to, do all the bending that I did. But it looks pretty good, and actually, when we roped in that gasket, it kind of pushed up against that headliner and stretched the headliner out, and well, cleared that problem too. So hey, if you get anything out of this, give me a like, subscribe if you can, and well, next time let's work on that front windshield.